Excellencies, dear delegates, good morning. We will now continue our consideration of agenda item 9. We go back to the list of speakers, and the next speaker is the delegation of France. France, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. And with your indulgence, just stemming from the cow, I will need 1 minute to get the statement ready. The statement is ready, but to have it in front of me. If I could pass.
Absolutely, this is understood.
Thank you.
And we will first ask the delegation of Kenya to take the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Distinguished delegates, we are honored and delighted once again to join you in this important forum. Kenya values the role of CCPCJ in advancing policies, practices on crime prevention and criminal justice. We stand before this esteemed assembly on behalf of the people of Kenya, eager to contribute to this agenda on the follow-up of the 15th United Nations Congress on Crime Prevention, Criminal Justice, and the preparations for the 16th United Nations Congress on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice. Kenya reaffirms its strong commitments to the integration and coordination efforts in the crime prevention and criminal justice in close partnership with UNODC. Kenya reaffirms the importance of sustained and effective follow-up to the outcomes of the 15th United Nations Congress on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice, in particular with commitments contained in the Kyoto Declaration on advancing crime prevention, criminal justice, and the rule of law. We underscore that the full and timely implementation of these commitments remains essential to addressing contemporary and emerging crime challenges while promoting sustainable development, human rights, and the rule of law. Kenya welcomes the ongoing efforts by the international community under the coordination of the UNODC to translate the Congress outcomes into concrete action through technical assistance, policy guidance, data collection, and knowledge sharing. We emphasize the value of integrating the Congress follow-up into national and regional strategies, ensuring coherence with broader UN frameworks and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. As preparations begin for the 16th United Nations Congress on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice, Kenya underscores the need for an inclusive, forward-looking, and action-oriented process. We encourage early and meaningful engagement of member states and relevant stakeholders to ensure that the Congress agenda is responsive to evolving threats, including cybercrime, environmental crime, organized crime, and corruption, while strengthening people-centered justice system. Kenya looks forward to contributing constructively to the preparatory process and to the 16th Congress. With a view to advancing practical solutions, strengthening international cooperation, and reinforcing crime prevention and criminal justice systems that are effective, resilient, and grounded in the rule of law. In conclusion, Chair, Kenya underscores the importance of policy coherence, coordination, and partnership in the implementation of this instrument. Kenya remains committed to working with the UNODC and member states to ensure holistic, people-centered, and effective global response to crime and criminal justice challenges. Thank you, Chair. Asanteni sana.
Thank you. And I now would like to give the floor to France. You have the floor.
Merci, Monsieur.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you for your patience. Chairperson, France welcomes the organization in September in Abu Dhabi of the 15th Congress on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice. France is actively engaged in negotiations on the Abu Dhabi Declaration, which began at the beginning of 2025 with the organization of regional meetings. This negotiation requires significant work because a great deal is at stake. In this regard, we thank the UAE presidency in the person of His Excellency Judge Ablushi, his team, and the entire permanent representation of the UAE, and we commend the work of the UNODC Secretariat, which has the task of ensuring the functioning of this mechanism. France would like to see us come to a consensus soon, and will continue with its engagement in negotiations, in particular on focusing on priorities, which are the impact of the use of artificial intelligence in justice systems and environmental crimes. Chairperson. The Crime Congress is also an occasion for civil society and the world of academia, whose essential role in crime prevention and the fight against organized crime and criminal justice is known to contribute to the debate to the United Nations. Some hundreds of these organizations expressed their interest in coming to Abu Dhabi when the Congress was still planned for last April. France welcomes this occasion to have an exchange with them, but notes with concern various cancellations. We propose that the Presidency and the Secretariat provide for time to have dialogue with the organizations before the Congress in order to confirm details of organization of the event and inform them about the adoption of the Abu Dhabi Declaration. Sir, France would like to finally recall that multilingualism is an essential functioning principle of the United Nations, and it regrets that the conditions to exercise this principle have been brought into question on various occasions from the beginning of this year in UNODC, including within this commission, which only benefits from 4 days of interpretation in the plenary and no
Canada collects data on various SDG indicators, such as the annual proportion of the population subjected to violence, including sexual violence, the proportion of unsentenced detainees within the total prison population, and the incarceration rate per 100,000 adults. Concerning the latter indicator, we are pleased to note that Canada's data for 2023-2024 demonstrates a decline since 2015-2016, showing progress on SDG indicators 1661. Canada will continue to advance the Sustainable Development Goals at home and abroad to build just and inclusive societies for all. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for the statement. Next speaker is the delegation of Thailand. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With only 4 years remaining into the 2030 deadline, the work of the CCPCJ has never carried greater urgency. The Commission has consistently provided vital contributions to SDG 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions, a goal that is simultaneously a target and an enabling condition for all other SDGs. Without rule of law, crime prevention, and fair access to justice, no development gains are sustainable. There is no doubt that crime is a direct impediment to human rights and socio-economic development. The interconnection between crime prevention, rule of law, and sustainable development is not just rhetoric. We see real evidence in our region, whereby scam compound networks threaten human life, synthetic drugs stunt rural development, and trafficking in persons severs families from productive life. Therefore, crime prevention must be seen as part and parcel of sustainable development. And the CCPCJ and this Commission work must reflect this reality. Mr. Chair, later this year, the international community will gather for the 15th Crime Congress in Abu Dhabi. Concrete SDG-linked commitments that translate into UNODC programming and measurable outcomes. In this regard, Thailand views that the achievement of SDGs must be carried out through technical cooperation, capacity building, and sharing of best practices. Also include our efforts in achieving SDG Goal 16, such as our progress in combating trafficking in persons through our national referral mechanism. We would like to encourage all member states to include crime prevention elements in their voluntary national review and contribute to the realization of the 2030 agenda. Mr. Chair, in this spirit, and would highly appreciate the support of ECOSOC member states. Thailand will continue to work with our partners to strengthen global efforts in crime prevention and criminal justice as part of our collective commitment to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the statement. Next delegation is Colombia. You have the floor.
The agenda as peace, justice, strong institutions and the rule of law are indispensable conditions for achieving sustainable, inclusive and resilient development. In this context, organized crime. Phenomena such as organized crime, corruption, illicit financial flows, cybercrime, and crimes that affect the environment constitute direct obstacles to the need to strengthen multilateral responses to environmental crimes, including illegal mining, recognizing their links to transnational organized crime systems. In the face of these threats, it is a priority to strengthen international cooperation, information exchange, against illicit financial flows is likewise an goals. Colombia underscores the importance of promoting human-centered security and justice approaches that incorporate crime prevention, effective access to justice, social inclusion, and the strengthening of public trust in institutions. Recognizing the importance of strengthening institutional capacities and international cooperation to address increasingly complex criminal threats. In particular, Colombia emphasizes the importance of integrating a gender perspective into crime prevention and criminal justice policies, recognizing that women and girls, in all their diversity, face differentiated risks in context of organized crime, as well as specific barriers to accessing justice. In this regard, it reaffirms its commitment to designing and implementing responses that address these gaps, that promote equality, and that ensure the protection of rights, including the development of alternatives to deprivation of liberty, and measures aimed at social reintegration. It is also important to strengthen equitable access to justice, especially for vulnerable populations, through innovative tools, digitalization processes, and restorative justice. Peace, for building peaceful, just, and inclusive societies. I thank you.
Thank you for the statement. And the next speaker is the delegation of Argentina. You have the floor.
Muchas
In this regard, the Republic of Argentina would like to reaffirm its commitment to the protection of individual rights of all human beings, without distinction, in accordance with the obligations expressly set forth in international treaties to which it is a party. We'd like to recall that the 2030 Agenda, which was committed to in good faith, comprises legally non-binding aspirations which each state, in the exercise of its sovereignty, has the right to provide a comprehensive response and a long-term one to the challenges raised by transnational organized crime on the basis of the principles of common and shared responsibility between states and with strict compliance with international law. In an international context characterized by growing interstate tension, the international community cannot allow confrontation impacting dialogue. Rather, it should recognize that the United Nations is the only space in which is transnational organized crime. This continues to diversify, and it also continues to intensify in scope and scale, promoting violence and insecurity and harming people and their livelihoods. It is only through solid and coordinated partnerships that we'll be able to effectively address this common threat, and through this achieve safer, more inclusive and peaceful societies. Given this situation, Mexico welcomes and appreciates the recent adoption at the end of 2025 of the UN system common approach to prevent and address transnational organized crime. As a governing body of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, the Commission on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice, a functional commission of the Economic and Social Council, will have an important role to play in supervising the due implementation of the common approach, which has the aim of guiding entities in the United Nations system to ensure that they align and coordinate better when it comes to the support they provide to states to prevent and counteract transnational organized crime. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. And next delegation is the delegation of Uruguay. You have the floor.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Chair. This delegation would like to begin its statement by aligning itself with what was expressed by the group of countries of Latin America and the Caribbean in its initial statement, insofar as reaffirming its commitment to multilateralism, the rule of law, and the respect for human rights, recognizing the essential role of UNODC in supporting member states in strengthening systems to prevent crime, ensure criminal justice in accordance with the Sustainable Development Goals. Having said that, in our national capacity, with our historic commitment as Uruguay to a position to defend the principles of international law and the 2030 Agenda in particular, in this intervention to SDG 16, we would like to reaffirm the crucial fundamental role to be played in the synergies between CCPCJ, ECOSOC, and the High-Level Political Forum, as well as other multilateral processes to do with the 2030 agenda, the aim of this being to promote coordinated, comprehensive responses to the challenges connected to transnational organized crime, as was very well highlighted by the distinguished delegate of Colombia. Finally, we would like to express our deep concern with regards to the negative impact caused by criminal organizations on our societies through crimes committed, including smuggling of migrants, trafficking in persons, the recruitment of boys, girls, and adolescents. These are victims who need the human rights fully respected, no matter their migratory situation, nationality, sex, ethnicity, religion, or age. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. And the next and last speaker under this agenda item is the delegation of the International Criminal Police, Interpol. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Interpol welcomes the opportunity to address the Commission on how we can collectively accelerate the implementation of the 2030 Agenda, particularly Sustainable Development Goal 16 on peace, justice, and strong institutions. As we navigate an increasingly complex global security landscape, Interpol offers 3 strategic insights to maximize the Commission's impact. First, we need to confront the reality of polycriminality and its direct threat to sustainable development. Transnational organized crime groups no longer operate in silos. Today, a single criminal enterprise might simultaneously traffic drugs, exploit vulnerable populations, and engage in crimes that affect the environment. These overlapping criminal activities devastate ecosystems, exacerbate climate vulnerability, and rob developing economies of crucial revenue. Second, we need to prioritize the digital and financial enablers of modern crime. Cybercrime and online financial fraud have scaled exponentially, frequently supercharged by artificial intelligence and synthetic media. To safeguard the 2030 Agenda, international frameworks should proactively target the illicit financial flows that sustain these networks. Interpol remains committed to driving operational successes in asset recovery and cyber defense, ensuring that crime does not pay. Third, maximizing our impact requires deep operational synergy and avoidance of duplicated efforts. UN-led political frameworks achieve their greatest success when seamlessly linked to global law enforcement infrastructure. To this end, Interpol stands ready to contribute to the upcoming 15th United Nations Crime Congress. The Crime Congress represents a critical milestone to align political commitments with operational realities on the ground. Mr. Chair, the tools to achieve these goals already exist. Interpol's secure global communication channels and data systems are at the immediate disposal of our 196 member countries. Guided by the United Nations General Assembly resolution on Interpol-UN cooperation, Interpol provides real-time access to global criminal databases containing millions of records on wanted persons, stolen property, and imminent threats. To conclude, Interpol remains committed to building a safer world together through integrating global law enforcement insights into the work of the CCPCJ and looking forward to robust outcomes at the 15th Crime Congress. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This concludes the list of speakers for agenda item 10, and I close this item. And we now move to the next agenda item. Okay, we need a minute here to rearrange the podium. So we will now turn to agenda item 11, which is the provisional agenda for the 36th session of the Commission. The draft provisional agenda for the 36th session was considered by the Extended Bureau during its meeting on the 13th of May, 28th of May, and 3rd of June 2026. And the chairs of the regional groups were requested to hold consultations with their membership. During the meeting of the 4th of June, the Extended Bureau agreed to put forward the draft agenda as contained in the document with the symbol E/CN.15/2026/L5 for consideration in the plenary. Can I ask whether all members of the Commission are ready to adopt the draft proposed as contained in E/CN15/2026/L5? I see that the United States is asking for the floor. Do you have the floor?
Thank you, Chair. The United States objects to the title of Item 10 in the provisional agenda of the 36th session of the CCPCJ because it references the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The United States has long-standing and principled objections to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Instead of the 2030 Agenda, the United States supports focus, follow-up, and review of the core mandates of the CCPCJ to ensure it is delivering on its mission to combat rapidly evolving, complex, and global crime-related threats to the security of our countries, communities, and citizens. We therefore propose amending the title to this agenda item to delete the phrase, quote, including follow-up to and review and implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, end quote. This amendment reaffirms the CCPCJ's core mandate and priorities. We ask that our statement and position on this agenda item be reflected in the official records of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you for this statement. That means that the representative of the United States has made an amendment to the draft agenda for the 36th session contained in L5. I kindly ask the secretary, no, it's already on the screen. Thank you very much. In accordance with Rule 64 of the Rules of Procedure of the Functional Commissions of the Economic and Social Council, the Commission will now first take a decision on this amendment. May I ask, or may I take that the Commission wishes to adopt the oral amendment submitted by the representative of the United States? I see request for the floor by the delegation of Germany. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm taking the floor on behalf of Germany and all 5 of other EU member states, which are current members of the CCPCJ Commission. We do not approve of the deletion of the 2030 Agenda from the agenda and the work of the CCPCJ. As members of the Commission, we believe that the Commission should remain committed to working with all partners to accelerate progress towards the SDGs through an encompassing and human rights-based approach to crime prevention and criminal justice. This is a consistent position for my country and the European Union. We stress that efforts to achieve the SDGs and efforts to effectively prevent crime and ensure criminal justice are complementary and mutually reinforcing. We reiterate our strong commitment to the full, effective, and accelerated implementation of the 2030 Agenda, guided by its universality, indivisibility, and the integrated nature of the Sustainable Development Goals. Therefore, we would request the retention of the agenda as originally presented.
Thank you. And I see that the delegation of Colombia asked for the floor. You have the floor.
Gracias.
Thank you, Chairperson. As was expressed by the distinguished delegate of Germany, Colombia does not believe it is possible to adopt the amendment proposed by the delegation of the United States due to the reasons that we have expressed throughout our interventions throughout this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next delegation asking for the floor is Brazil. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Brazil also cannot go along with the proposal made by the United States delegation. While we recognize that the SDGs are non-binding, we highlight that it is a keystone document which has been guiding our work since 2015, and I think its benefits have been stressed enough by EU member states and other delegations. Thank you.
Thank you. I also see requests for the floor by South Africa. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I just would like to take the floor just to also support the delegation from Germany, speaking on behalf of the EU members of the CCPCJ, as well as the other two speakers who have spoken to not support the amendment to the CCPCJ agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. I see no more requests. United States, please.
Thank you, Chair. The United States calls for a vote on our proposed amendment to the title of Agenda Item 10. Thank you.
Thank you. A vote has been requested to the oral amendment. The Commission will now commence with the process of voting on the oral amendment to the draft agenda as contained in L5. In accordance with the Rule 61 of the Rules of Procedure of the Commission, no representative may interrupt the voting except on a point of order in connection with the actual process of voting. Let me remind the Commission that in accordance with Rule 58 of the Rules of Procedure of the Functional Commission of ECOSOC, the simple majority of the Commission member present and voting is required. According to the Rules of Procedure, present and voting means members casting an affirmative or negative vote. Members which abstain from voting are considered as not voting. I now call only the members of the Commission, in favor of the amendment to raise their country signs and keep them raised till their country name is called out.
Argentina, United States. Thank you.
I now call only on the members of the Commission not in favor of the amendment by raising their signs.
Albania, Brazil, Burkina Faso, Canada, China, Colombia, Cuba, Czechia, Egypt, Finland, France, Germany, Guatemala, Indonesia, Italy, Kazakhstan, Latvia, Mexico, Morocco, Nigeria, Pakistan, Republic of Korea, South Africa, Thailand, Uganda, United Kingdom, Uruguay, and Zimbabwe. Thank you.
Thank you. And I now request the members of the Commission abstaining to indicate their abstention by raising their country signs.
El Salvador, Japan, and the United Arab Emirates. Thank you.
Thank you. We now need a minute to summarize the results. Yeah, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the result of the vote is that there is a total of 2 votes in favor, 28 votes against, and 3 abstentions. Therefore, I declare the Commission has decided to reject the amendment. Does a member of the Commission wish to make a statement, an explanation of vote, or any delegation wish to make a general statement? This is not the case. So since the oral amendment submitted by the representative of the United States has not been adopted, we shall proceed to take a decision on the provisional agenda as contained in L5 as a whole. Can the Commission now adopt the provisional agenda as contained in L5? Thank you. The provisional agenda is now adopted. I thank you. So this was also the end of agenda item 11. We move on to agenda item 12, which is other business.
There is here a request.
Yeah. No other business has been brought to the attention of the extended bureau of the Secretariat. Does any delegation want to bring other matters to the attention of the Commission? Yeah. I see Italy. You have the floor.
Mr. Chair, Italy wishes to draw the Commission attention to an issue which we believe will become increasingly significant for the future of criminal justice at the global level, namely the capacity of states to perform their investigative and judicial function effectively within the digital environment. New technology is deeply changing our societies, creating great opportunities in terms of economic and social growth. However, it also changes how criminals work, due to the fact that criminal organizations now use digital networks and hidden, encrypted messages to plan and hide their crimes across borders. In this session, we have talked about online fraud, scam center, human trafficking, terrorism, and organized crime. These problems are all different, but they share a common feature in terms of the growing importance of the digital world. When it comes to solving this crime, electronic data and communications are often the main factor to find criminals, protect victims, and deliver justice. Yet competent authorities face growing difficulties in lawfully accessing data and in implementing investigative measures provided for under national law, including the interception of communication. Italy is strongly committed to this issue at the international level as well. Within the G7 Roma Lione Group and the European Union High-Level Expert Group on Access to Data for Effective Law Enforcement, our country is helping to find shared solutions, since we must ensure that new technologies does not stop states when it comes to preventing, investigating, and punishing serious crimes. We believe that better international cooperation must go together with more responsibilities from tech companies, due to the fact that these digital service providers are essential players today in terms of the global communication system. Just as traditional telecommunication operators are required to comply with legitimate requests from the competent authorities in accordance with the safeguards provided for by law, we must consider how to ensure that digital service and new communication platforms can also continue to facilitate the effective use of the investigative tools provided for by democratic legal systems. We are convinced that the protection of privacy, the protection of personal data, and the security of communication are essential pillars of our democracies. At the same time, we reckon that these values must coexist with the need to ensure that the digital world does not become a space beyond the reach of law. Helping our institution adapt to new technology will be a major test for modern justice, due to the fact that effective justice is impossible when it comes to situations where we cannot access to the information needed to find the through. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this statement. I see no more requests for the floor on this agenda item. So the agenda item 12 is closed. And I suspend now the meeting for 5 minutes because we have to rearrange the podium for the next agenda item, which is agenda item 13. And I'd like to remind colleagues that we started late this morning, 11 o'clock, and the morning session will last until 2 o'clock. Thank you. Excellencies, dear delegates, we now proceed with agenda item 13, which is adoption of the report of the Commission on its 35th session. And I propose that we first turn to the draft proposals that have been considered by the Committee of the Whole. I want to remind you that, as explained beforehand in the organizational arrangements, the extended Bureau meetings, as well as the pre-session consultations, the adoption of the resolutions and report will be conducted fully paperless. The in-session draft reports and resolutions are available on the Commission website. The QR code linking to the web page is available in the meeting room, and the web page with documents will be displayed on the screen at adoption. We start with the consideration of draft resolutions as approved in the Committee of the Whole. And I would like to thank Ambassador Atsushi Kaifo for his work as chair of the COW. The Commission and I personally are grateful to you for leading the Committee of the Whole, and I'd like to give the floor to Ambassador Kaifo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excellencies, distinguished representatives, dear colleagues, and dear friends, I would like to briefly present the results of the work undertaken in the Committee of the Whole, which I have been proud to chair this week. As you know, 3 draft resolutions were tabled, namely E/CN 15/2026 L2, originally entitled Preventing and Combating Transnational Sextortion of Children, tabled by the United States of America, L3, entitled Countering Trafficking in Persons for the Purpose of Forced Criminality, tabled by Belarus and Kazakhstan, and L4, entitled Strengthening Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice Responses to Combat Fraud, tabled by Japan, United Kingdom, and United States of America. I would first like to extend my heartfelt appreciation to all delegates for their professionalism, commitment, and dedication. They have strived to reach common ground, to find creative solutions, and have worked very, very hard. Indeed, many of them worked late into the night, or perhaps I should say into early, very early hours of this morning. After all these joint efforts, I'm very pleased to announce that all 3 submitted resolutions, namely Resolution L2, Resolution L3, Resolution L4, have reached consensus in the Committee of the Whole and are ready for considerations in plenary. In the current time, this is an achievement we can all be proud of. Mr. Chair, allow me to conclude by noting that the work of the Committee of the Whole once again demonstrated the value of multilateral dialogue. Even where views differed, delegation remained engaged, solution-oriented, and committed to the objectives of the Commission. It has been an honor to serve as the chair of the Committee of the Whole, and I would like to thank all delegations for the confidence they placed in me throughout this process. This helped me a lot throughout the process. I cannot find any words to bring my heartfelt gratitude to all of you. I appreciate your dedication, friendship, and tolerance, including the warm smiles that generously accompanies my occasional poor attempt at humor during our meetings. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Ambassador Kaifo. Indeed, I think the work in the COW was a great achievement, and so far it looks like that if this week is again a good week for multilateralism and that the Vienna spirit seems still to be alive. Thank you very much. So we will now start with the adoption of the draft resolutions. I would like kindly request the delegations to abstain from taking the floor if their comments relate to editorial or translation matters, and to provide those comments in writing to the Secretariat. Let me recall the process for the co-sponsorship of draft resolutions. Member States can co-sponsor draft resolutions only on the e-delegate, at the very latest by Monday, the 8th of June 2026 at noon. In addition, Member States can raise their country plates here after the adoption of the respective resolution. I will specifically open the floor for that purpose. I would also like to recall that the representative of the Financial Resources Management Services of UNODC explained at the pre-session consultations that statements of financial implications are only issued if there are implications on the regular budget, as the resolutions contained in documents L2 through L4 are subject to the availability of extra budgetary resources. No oral statements on financial implications are needed. Hence, the adoption would not entail any additional budgetary implications on the regular budget. We will start with the resolutions approved by the Committee of the Whole in alphabetical order. And I call now on the Secretary to introduce the first resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for giving me the floor. And as we just heard from Ambassador Kaifu, the Commission has for its consideration and adoption a total of 3 draft proposals, namely the unedited revised versions of L2, L3, and L4 that were considered and approved by the Committee of the Whole that met from Monday afternoon, the 1st of June, till this morning, the 5th of June. Following the sequencing of approval in the Committee of the Whole, the first resolution is contained in document L4 and is entitled Strengthening Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice Responses to Prevent and Combat Fraud, and is sponsored by Japan, United Kingdom, and United States of America, as well as Costa Rica, Ecuador, Egypt, and Kazakhstan. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. May I now invite the Commission to adopt the resolution? Thank you. The resolution is adopted. Does any delegation want to make a statement? I see Japan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the past week, I have spoken only through the impartial voice of a chair. It is therefore a particular pleasure to take the floor today for the first time in my national capacity. Faced with a threat that grows more cunning by the days and leaves victims across every region, Japan, together with the United States and the United Kingdom, brought forward this resolution. The road was demanding. We wrestled with questions of public-private cooperation, asset recovery, emerging technologies, and technical assistance. Yet, those exchanges revealed something stronger than our differences, a shared resolve to confront fraud. Japan appreciates the consensus adoption of this resolution. Fraud respects no border, no system, and no policy orientation. This is precisely why a concerted approach is needed. I trust that today's achievement will strengthen action deepen cooperation, and sharpen our collective ability to protect those at risk. Before concluding, I wish to express my deep appreciation to all delegations for their enthusiasm, professionalism, above all, friendship. Consensus is never the work of one delegation. It is built through patience, trust, and a willingness to listen. Today's outcome bears the mark of that collective effort. I also extend my sincere thanks to the UNODC Secretariat, the conference officers, security officers, interpreters, and all those whose dedication, often unseen, made our work possible. Finally, I am grateful to the United States and the United Kingdom for their partnership throughout this process. For Japan, the adoption of this resolution by consensus is both an honor and a source of genuine pleasure. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ambassador Kaifu. Next on our list is the delegation of Brazil. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dear colleagues, Brazil would like to congratulate Japan, United Kingdom, and the United States of America on the adoption of this resolution on fraud. We commend Japan for the able and constructive manner in which it conducted the negotiations. Transnational fraud is a serious and growing challenge with significant impacts on individuals, societies, and public institutions. Brazil welcomes the Commission's attention to this important issue and reiterates its commitment to strengthening international cooperation to prevent and combat transnational organized crime in all its forms. Still, my delegation regrets that this resolution is gender blind and that it lacks any reference to sustainable development or to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, which, as mentioned before by my delegation, is a milestone commitment of the United Nations. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is the delegation of the European Union.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have the honor to take the floor on behalf of the European Union and its member states to make a general statement. Let me begin by congratulating Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States of America on the adoption of the resolution entitled Strengthening Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice Responses to Prevent and Combat Fraud by the Commission today. I'm pleased to announce that the European Union and its 27 member states are co-sponsoring this resolution. Combating fraud, including cyber-enabled and all forms of digital fraud, remains a priority for the European Union and its member states. The European Union has endorsed both the call to action on combating fraud and the Global Public-Private Partnership Framework Against Fraud adopted at the Global Fraud Summit here in Vienna. In this context, UNODC plays an important role in the prevention and combating of fraud as the leading UN entity in the fight against transnational organized crime in the UN system. We have observed a significant expansion in the digital dimension of organized crime, with criminal networks exploiting online platforms and artificial intelligence to target potential victims, particularly young people, spread disinformation, coordinate illicit activities, transfer funds, and conceal profits. The scale of this phenomenon is unprecedented. Online fraud and scams inflict not only financial harm, but also profound personal suffering. Scam centers have become a disturbing global reality, demanding that we intensify our efforts, operational support, and international partnerships. At the EU level, online fraud is now the fastest growing segment of organized crime. According to the 2025 survey by the EU Agency for Fundamental Rights, nearly 1 in 4 people in the EU, 24%, has fallen victim to online fraud. Yet only 15% report these crimes to the police, and fewer than half, 44%, report them at all, meaning official statistics vastly underestimate the true extent of the problem. Mr. Chair, no one is immune to digital fraud. Victims, regardless of gender, age, or background, suffer not only financial losses, but also severe psychological harm with tragic consequences. The European Union is now finalizing a new action plan that adopts a whole-of-society approach. The action plan will put victims in the center and will focus on recovery of funds by the victims, but also on supporting authorities in the challenges they face in prosecuting criminals. The resolution adopted today provides concrete tools and measures to prevent and combat fraud, setting high standards for a comprehensive and wide cross-sectoral approach, one that includes victim assistance and the restitution of funds. The resolution also recognizes the relevance of the UN Convention Against Cybercrime, which the EU and 14 of its member states have signed, as a critical instrument in preventing and combating fraud. The EU firmly believes that the new convention will help us make meaningful progress, particularly in addressing digital fraud, child sexual abuse, and exploitation. We look forward to continuing our collaboration and to strengthening our partnership with UNODC in implementing this resolution. I thank you.
Thank you. Next on the list is the delegation of the United States. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you to Ambassador Kaifu and our Japanese colleagues for their exceptional leadership, patience, and hard work on this very important resolution. For too long, Americans have been victimized by scam operations directed by transnational criminal organizations. Americans are losing tens of billions of dollars a year from transnational fraud. These are not statistics. These are real people, families devastated, savings wiped out, lives upended by criminal networks that operated with impunity across borders. Today, we take a decisive step in answering that threat. The United States is proud to have co-sponsored this resolution alongside Japan and the United Kingdom to strengthen crime prevention and criminal justice responses to combat transnational fraud. This resolution enshrines our shared commitment to addressing one of the fastest growing and most devastating forms of transnational organized crime affecting our citizens and communities worldwide. This resolution demands meaningful action to be taken consistent with states' respective domestic laws and international obligations. We have committed to protecting and supporting victims of fraud, to establishing procedures for compensation, and to ensuring that criminals are denied the ability to retain the profits of their crimes. This resolution also recognizes the industrialization of fraud in scam centers and through other criminal organizations. And recognizing this fact, the resolution reaffirms the need to dismantle the very structures of fraud networks, the scam centers, the deceptive recruitment practices, the financial networks and supply chains that made criminal activity possible. Notably, it tasks the Commission with collecting information on emerging crime trends, typologies, good practices, and challenges, and making that information available annually so that we can continue to learn, adapt, and respond together. Today's passage of this resolution is proof that when member states stand together, we can meet the moment. We are grateful to all who joined us in supporting this resolution, and we call on every nation to carry its commitments forward into concrete action. Our citizens demand resolve. Today, we delivered it. Thank you.
Thank you for the statement. I see the United Kingdom is asking for the floor. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. We warmly welcome the adoption of the resolution to strengthen crime prevention and criminal justice responses to prevent and combat fraud, which we were proud to have sponsored. We extend our sincere thanks to Japan for its leadership in driving this important outcome. This milestone reflects the shared recognition of the growing threat fraud poses to our economies, security, and citizens. The real test now lies in delivery. It is essential that we translate this resolution into concrete action, including by fully implementing its commitments and sustaining momentum from the Global Fraud Summit. We stand ready to work with partners to ensure these outcomes lead to stronger international cooperation, enhanced capabilities, and meaningful impact in the fight against fraud. Thank you.
Thank you. I see no more requests for the floor. Then I'd like to ask, does any other delegation want to co-sponsor the resolution? If so, please raise your country plate and lower it when your country name has been read out by the secretary.
Canada, Thailand, Australia, Egypt, Chile, Morocco, and here I will need Kazakhstan, Albania, Philippines, Ukraine, and is it Norway? Norway and Vietnam. I really apologize. You are so far in the room that from the podium it's very difficult to see. Apologies for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we now turn to the next resolution. I call again the Secretary to introduce the next resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And the second proposal is contained in document L2 and is entitled Preventing and Combating Transnational Sexual Extortion, and then in quotation marks, sextortion of children, and is sponsored by the United States and Egypt and Kazakhstan. Thank you.
Thank you. May I now invite the Commission to adopt the resolution? So, thank you. The resolution is adopted. Is there any delegation that wants to make a statement? See request by the floor by the US. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. 137. That's how many reports of sextortion are received by the U.S. National Center for Missing and Exploited Children on average every single day. And behind each report is a child. Chair, we were here for 5 days. This means that 685 reports of children targeted for sextortion occurred during this year's CCPCJ. And that's just what was reported. Look around. This is more than the number of delegates in this room. While we sat behind microphones and computer screens, so did children, and so did criminals. These 685 reports reflected children that were trapped in a terrible situation, coerced and manipulated by profit-driven evil. Furthermore, while here this week, we know of at least 2 sextortion reports that required immediate law enforcement intervention due to the suicidal ideation flagged in the chats of the victims. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children received these reports, wasted no time, and reached out to the appropriate law enforcement authorities to take action. The United States, too, will not rest until justice is served. We will use every available tool in our arsenal to pursue these sick criminal networks and take them down. The United States welcomes the adoption by consensus of this resolution entitled Preventing and Combating the Transnational Sexual Extortion, Sextortion of Children, not because it solves the problem, but because it delivers a necessary and critical step. Countries agreed that this is an urgent priority, and they agreed on the need to take action. They promised to prevent, investigate, prosecute, and combat transnational sextortion of children. They promised to hold offenders accountable. They promised to criminalize these offenses. They promised to increase public awareness to prevent these crimes. They promised to work together to identify victims. They promised to strengthen cooperation with the private sector. We extend our sincere appreciation to all delegations for their constructive engagement throughout this process and for Ambassador Kaifu's effective management of the Committee of the Whole. We also thank the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children for its expertise and participating in the US side event this week. This resolution reflects our shared recognition that the transnational sextortion of children is a growing phenomenon that transcends borders, devastates children and their families, and demands a coordinated international response. This resolution calls for meaningful action to be taken consistent with our respective domestic laws and international obligations. Most importantly, today's consensus sends a clear message. The international community is united in its determination to prevent these crimes, support victims, and hold offenders accountable. The other message we send, for the grieving families all over the world, we see you, we hear you, and we commit nothing but our best. The United States thanks all member states for their support and looks forward to working together to advance the implementation of this resolution. We encourage all member states to join us in co-sponsoring this important resolution and understand the opportunity to do so runs until noon on Monday, June 8th. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Next speaker is the delegation of Mexico. You have the floor.
Gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you, Chair. My delegation supports the adoption of this resolution, given its central objective of promoting international cooperation through the exchange of information and digital evidence in order to prevent, investigate, and punish criminals involved in the financing, distribution, transmission, possession, and acquisition of material which shows the abuse or sexual exploitation of children and adolescents. International cooperation and technical assistance in terms of prevention and combating this crime and mutual legal assistance require minimum understanding between states, and therefore I would like to share with the co-sponsors our concern with regard to the difficulties to do with the use of the word sextortion in this resolution, given that it is a term which has not yet been universally agreed and which is not covered in national jurisdictions. During the negotiations on the draft, we proposed the use of terms which are universally accepted, such as online child sexual abuse or child sexual exploitation material. Chairperson, we're able to join the consensus on this resolution in putting the highest interest of children above political issues. Therefore, we are continuing with our national efforts to prevent and combat this crime and to cooperate with other countries and international organizations which are competent in this regard, remarking that the use of the word sextortion in the title and in the preambular paragraph of this resolution does not have any legal implication for our country. We congratulate the co-sponsors on the adoption of the resolution. We'd like to request that this statement be recorded as an explanation of vote subsequent to the adoption of the resolution. I thank you.
Thank you. And I see the delegation of Brazil is asking for the floor. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Brazil congratulates the sponsors on the adoption of this important resolution on the sexual extortion and the abuse of children online. We appreciate the constructive spirit shown by the sponsors, as well as the flexibility to take into account concerns raised by delegations, including by Brazil. Brazil attaches great importance to strengthening international cooperation to protect children from sexual extortion and from any kind of sexual violence, exploitation, and abuse, including when such crimes are committed or facilitated by digital means. Still, we regret that this resolution is also gender blind and that it lacks any reference to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, which is a milestone of the United Nations and has been guiding the works of this organization since 2015. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is the delegation of Colombia. You have the floor.
Muchas gracias. Thank you very much, Chair. Well, we share the concern with regard to extortion of minors using digital media. Like the delegation of Mexico, and as we said throughout negotiations, we believe that the term included in this resolution is not equivalent to a legally recognized behavior as recognized under our jurisdiction, and therefore we will continue to work to combat and prevent sexual exploitation and the abuse of minors. But this will not set a precedent for the recognition of this term in our legislation. I thank you.
Thank you for this statement. I see no further requests for the floor. And again, I'd like to ask delegations who want to co-sponsor the resolutions to raise their country plate and lower it when your country name has been read out by the secretary.
Canada, Japan, Kazakhstan, Egypt, Thailand, Australia, United Kingdom, Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you. And with this, we turn to the third and last resolution, and I'd like the secretary to introduce the last resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And the third proposal is contained in document L3 and is entitled Countering Trafficking in Persons for the Purpose of Forced Criminality, sponsored by Kazakhstan, Belarus, and Egypt. Thank you.
May I now invite the Commission to adopt the resolution? The resolution is adopted. Thank you. Does any delegation want to make a statement? Kazakhstan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Distinguished delegates, I want to take this opportunity to sincerely thank all delegations for the time, energy, expertise, and patience they devoted to our common negotiating process. The long hours, difficult conversations, and efforts to bridge differences reflect our shared commitment to addressing on the most serious crimes of our time. We are especially grateful to the chair of the Committee of the Whole, His Excellency Ambassador Kaifu, who stood with us throughout these 5 days and guided our work until the early hours of this morning. His dedication, leadership, and determination to find common ground were instrumental in bringing us to this outcome. We also extend our sincere appreciation to the UNODC Secretariat for its professionalism, support, and tireless efforts throughout the negotiations. Distinguished delegates, last night was a powerful example of the Vienna spirit. Delegations stayed at the table, listened to one another, and worked through difficult issues in good faith. That commitment made today's consensus possible. Before I conclude, allow me one final reflection. What brought us
you.